Welcome to Quiet Universe. In this video, we're diving into the mysterious depths of the ocean, a realm that's as strange and unexplored as the farthest reaches of space. We'll encounter creatures that glow like stars in the dark and giants that move silently through the deep. From strange sounds to hidden life forms, there's so much we don't know about this underwater world. Come along as we explore the unknown, discovering the secrets and wonders of the ocean's depths. This is going to be one wild adventure. Let's get started. In the darkest reaches of the ocean, where sunlight is but a distant memory, an entire universe of deep-sea creatures thrives in an alien world. Imagine a place where the water pressure is so immense that it could crush a submarine. Yet life flourishes in the most astonishing forms. These creatures, the enigmatic denizens of the abyss, are like living whispers of the Earth's most profound mysteries. Some are bioluminescent, glowing with an eerie, ethereal light that they use to hunt, communicate, or simply navigate the eternal night. Their lights flicker like the stars in a sky that has never known the warmth of the sun. Others are grotesque, their forms twisted and bizarre, evolved to survive in a realm where food is scarce and danger lurks in every shadow. The anglerfish, with its nightmarish grin and a glowing lure dangling from its head, is one such beast, a predator that has adapted to be both terrifying and efficient in its hunt. Yet not all deep-sea creatures are monsters. Some are delicate, almost fragile, with translucent bodies that drift gracefully through the water, their existence a slow dance in the deep. Jellyfish and comb jellies, with their ghostly, gelatinous forms, pulse through the darkness, their movements hypnotic and strange. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about these creatures is their resilience. In a place where the temperature hovers just above freezing, and the weight of the water above is unimaginable, these beings have not only survived, they have thrived, each one a testament to the extraordinary adaptability of life. The deep sea is a world of extremes, of unimaginable beauty and terror, where life has found a way to endure against all odds. It is a reminder that even in the most inhospitable places, the spark of life can burn brightly, if not warmly. The ocean has always been a place of mystery and wonder, a vast, deep expanse that seems to stretch out forever. It's easy to forget, as we stand on the shore or sail across the surface, just how little we know about what lies beneath. The deep sea, in particular, remains one of the last great frontiers on our planet. Despite all our technological advancements and sophisticated equipment, a significant percentage of the creatures living in these depths are still unknown to science. Every time we venture into the abyss, we encounter creatures that defy our understanding, challenging what we thought we knew about life on Earth. These expeditions are like journeys into an alien world, where familiar rules don't always apply, and the unexpected is the norm. Scientists, engineers, and explorers board submersibles and remotely operated vehicles, plunging into the pitch-black waters with a mix of excitement and trepidation. They know they might come face to face with beings that have never been seen by human eyes before. The sense of discovery in the deep sea is profound. Unlike the surface of the ocean or even the shallower waters, where most of the species have been cataloged and studied, the deep sea is a place where almost every expedition yields something new. It's not just about finding a new type of fish or an unusual crustacean. It's about encountering creatures that are completely unlike anything known to science. Some of these animals have adaptations that seem almost magical. Bioluminescent displays, bodies that can withstand crushing pressures, and features that look like they belong in a science fiction movie rather than in the natural world. There's a story often told among marine biologists and deep-sea explorers, a tale that illustrates just how strange and surprising the deep sea can be. A team had descended into the depths of the Pacific Ocean, their submersible carefully navigating the pitch-black waters. They were scanning the area with lights and cameras, hoping to catch a glimpse of something extraordinary. Suddenly, out of the darkness, a creature appeared that no one had ever seen before. It was a translucent, jelly-like being, with tentacles that shimmered in a rainbow of colors as it floated gracefully through the water. The creatures seemed to glow from within, emitting a soft, ethereal light that illuminated the surrounding water. It was unlike anything the team had ever encountered, a beautiful and haunting reminder of just how little we know about the deep sea. Stories like this are not uncommon. Each new species discovered in the deep sea is a testament to the incredible diversity of life that exists on our planet, a reminder that there is still so much left to explore and understand. The creatures that live in these depths are often strange and otherworldly, adapted to a life in complete darkness, under immense pressure, and in freezing cold temperatures. They have evolved in ways that defy our expectations, developing traits and behaviors that are as unique as they are fascinating. Consider the vampire squid, a creature that seems to have come straight out of a horror film. With its deep red color, webbed arms, and glowing blue eyes, it's a fearsome sight. But in reality, the vampire squid is a gentle creature that feeds on detritus, tiny particles of organic material that drift down from the upper layers of the ocean. It's an example of how different life can be in the deep sea, where traditional food sources are scarce and creatures must find innovative ways to survive. Another remarkable example is the yeti crab, a fuzzy, white crustacean that was discovered near hydrothermal vents in the South Pacific Ocean. This crab has long, hair-like bristles on its claws, which it uses to cultivate bacteria. In a world where food is hard to come by, the yeti crab has developed a symbiotic relationship with these bacteria, effectively farming them for sustenance. It's a bizarre and brilliant adaptation, one that highlights the ingenuity of life in the deep sea. A creature that seems almost like a myth. It has a transparent head, allowing its tubular eyes to rotate inside its skull and give it a panoramic view of its surroundings. This adaptation helps the fish spot potential prey and predators in the dim light of the deep sea. It's a reminder of just how strange and unexpected life can be in this part of the world, where evolution has taken some truly unusual paths. These examples are just a tiny fraction of what's out there. Scientists estimate that we have only explored a small percentage of the deep sea, and the creatures we've discovered so far are likely just the tip of the iceberg. There are undoubtedly thousands, if not millions, of species waiting to be found, each with its own unique adaptations and characteristics. The possibilities are endless, and that's what makes the deep sea so exciting. It's a place where discovery is always possible, where the next dive could reveal something completely unexpected. Of course, with all this mystery and excitement comes a fair share of challenges. Exploring the deep sea is not easy. It requires advanced technology and equipment, not to mention a lot of funding and resources. The pressure at these depths is immense, capable of crushing all but the sturdiest of submersibles. The darkness is so complete that only the brightest lights can penetrate it, and the cold is enough to freeze almost anything. But these challenges are part of what makes the deep sea so fascinating. It's a place where only the most determined explorers dare to go, a realm where every discovery is hard-won and all the more rewarding for it. There's something almost poetic about the idea that we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the bottom of the ocean. It's a reminder of just how vast and mysterious our planet is, how much there is still to learn and discover. The deep sea is a place of wonder and awe, a frontier that beckons to be explored. Every expedition is a step into the unknown, a chance to uncover the secrets of a world that's been hidden from us for millions of years. And who knows what we might find in the future? Perhaps there are creatures down there that are even stranger and more incredible than anything we've discovered so far. Maybe there are animals with abilities and adaptations that we can't even imagine. The deep sea is a place where anything is possible, where the limits of our knowledge and imagination are constantly being pushed. It's a reminder that no matter how much we think we know, there's always more to learn, always more to discover. So, as we continue to explore the deep sea, let's keep an open mind and a sense of wonder. Let's remember that we are just beginning to scratch the surface of what's out there, that the ocean is a vast and mysterious place with secrets waiting to be uncovered. Let's embrace the unknown and be ready for whatever surprises the deep sea has in store. After all, that's what makes exploration so exciting. the thrill of discovery, the joy of learning, and the chance to see the world in a whole new light. Picture yourself drifting in the vast, inky darkness of the deep ocean, where sunlight never reaches and shadows are as thick as midnight. Here, in this eternal night, something extraordinary happens. A faint, ethereal glow begins to pierce the blackness, like stars twinkling in the sky. These are the lights of bioluminescent creatures, a mesmerizing phenomenon that transforms the deep sea into an otherworldly theater of glowing wonders. Bioluminescence is one of nature's most magical displays, an ability found in a wide variety of deep-sea creatures. They light up in a myriad of ways. Some flash like strobe lights, others glow steadily like lanterns, and still others pulse in rhythmic patterns. It's a spectacle that has fascinated scientists for centuries, prompting questions about why and how these creatures evolved to emit light in such a dark, seemingly inhospitable environment. The truth is, no one knows exactly when bioluminescence first appeared or why it became so widespread among deep-sea organisms. We have theories, of course, stories we tell ourselves to make sense of the unknown. Some believe it all started hundreds of millions of years ago in a primordial ocean teeming with life. Back then, the sea was a place of fierce competition, where survival often depended on finding food, avoiding predators, and communicating with others of your kind. Light, as it turns out, could help with all three. Imagine a tiny marine organism swimming through the murky depths. It's a vulnerable creature, small and soft, with no natural defenses against larger predators. But then, one day, a mutation occurs, a random change in its DNA that allows it to produce a faint glow. At first, this light is weak and barely noticeable, but over generations, it becomes stronger and more pronounced. The glowing creature finds that its light helps it in unexpected ways. It can lure smaller prey close, confusing them long enough to strike. It can also use its light to signal to potential mates, forming a silent language in the darkness. And, most ingeniously, it can use flashes of light to startle or distract predators, giving it a chance to escape. As time goes on, other creatures in the deep sea also begin to develop bioluminescent abilities. Some evolve complex organs filled with light-producing bacteria, forming a symbiotic relationship that benefits both parties. The bacteria get a safe place to live, while the host animal gains a new tool for survival. Others develop specialized cells called photophores, which can produce light through a chemical reaction involving a molecule called luciferin and an enzyme called luciferase. This reaction is highly efficient, producing light with very little heat, a crucial adaptation in the cold, dark depths of the ocean. But if bioluminescence is just a tool for survival, why do some creatures glow in such intricate patterns? Why do some emit a soft, steady light, while others flash in elaborate displays that seem almost choreographed? It's questions like these that keep scientists up at night, pondering the mysteries of the deep. One theory is that these complex light patterns evolved as a form of communication, a way for creatures to send messages to each other in the darkness. In the deep sea, where sound doesn't travel well and visibility is limited, light could be a powerful way to signal one's presence, attract a mate, or warn off arrival. Some species, like the lanternfish, have evolved specific patterns of bioluminescent spots that are unique to each individual, much like a fingerprint. These patterns may help them recognize each other in the vast, empty ocean, ensuring they can find members of their own species when it comes time to reproduce. Another possibility is that bioluminescence evolved as a form of camouflage, a way to hide in plain sight. This might seem counterintuitive at first. After all, wouldn't glowing make you more visible, not less? But in the deep sea, where sunlight doesn't penetrate, the only light comes from the animals themselves. Some species use a technique called counterillumination, where they produce light from their bellies to match the faint glow of the surface above. This helps them blend in with the light coming from above, making them almost invisible to predators lurking below. Yet, for all the practical explanations, there's something undeniably artistic about bioluminescence, something that suggests it might serve a deeper, more mysterious purpose. Some scientists have suggested that bioluminescence could be a way for creatures to express themselves, to create beauty in a world where it's rarely seen. After all, evolution isn't always just about survival. Sometimes it's about finding new ways to thrive, to make life richer and more interesting. Consider the case of the deep-sea jellyfish, Atala, also known as the alarm jellyfish. When threatened, it puts on a spectacular light show, flashing bright blue rings in a rapid sequence that resembles a police siren. The purpose of this display is still debated among scientists, but one theory is that it might be a form of burglar alarm, meant to attract even larger predators that might scare off whatever is attacking the jellyfish. But perhaps there's more to it than that. Maybe the jellyfish's light show is also a way of saying, "Here I am, and this is what I can do." It's a bold statement in a world where being noticed can be both a blessing and a curse. And what about the deep-sea anglerfish, with its eerie, glowing lure that dangles in front of its face like a fishing rod? This light is used to attract prey, drawing them close enough to be snatched up by the anglerfish's sharp teeth. But there's something almost hypnotic about that glowing lure, something that suggests a deeper connection between light and life in the deep sea. Could it be that the anglerfish's lure is not just a tool, but a kind of art, a way of adding a little brightness to the darkness of the deep? These are the kinds of questions that keep the study of bioluminescence so fascinating and elusive. We can study the chemical reactions that produce light, we can observe the behaviors that go along with it, but there will always be an element of mystery, a sense that we're only scratching the surface of something much deeper. After all, the deep sea is a place of contradictions, a world where light is scarce but beauty is abundant, where life seems to defy the very conditions that should make it impossible. Perhaps that's why bioluminescence is such a compelling subject for scientists and storytellers alike. It reminds us that the natural world is full of wonders we have yet to understand, that even in the darkest places, there is light to be found. It challenges us to think beyond the practical and consider the possibility that there is more to life than mere survival, that in the depths of the ocean, as in the depths of our own hearts, there are mysteries that will never be fully solved. As we continue to explore the deep sea and uncover the secrets of bioluminescence, we are likely to find more questions than answers. But that's okay. The beauty of science, like the beauty of the deep sea itself, lies in its ability to surprise us, to make us see the world in a new light. And in a place as dark and unexplored as the deep ocean, there is no shortage of surprises waiting to be discovered. So, we keep diving, keep exploring, keep asking questions, knowing that with each new discovery, we are not just learning about the deep sea, but about ourselves as well. For in the glow of a bioluminescent creature, we see a reflection of our own curiosity, our own desire to understand the world around us. And that perhaps is the greatest mystery of all. There's something haunting about the giant squid, a creature so elusive that for centuries it seemed more like a myth than a reality. The sailors who told tales of monstrous arms rising from the deep to drag ships beneath the waves were often dismissed as storytellers, spinning yarns to make the long months at sea more bearable. And yet, there was always a kernel of truth in those stories, a sense that something enormous and strange really did lurk in the ocean's depths. It wasn't until recently that we finally managed to capture the giant squid on video in its natural habitat, revealing for the first time what these enigmatic creatures actually look like as they glide through the water. Even with this footage, though, the giant squid remains a mystery. We know what they are now, but we still know very little about how they live, hunt, and interact with one another. The truth is, the giant squid is like a ghost of the deep, a being that exists on the edges of our understanding, always slipping away just as we think we're getting close. Imagine the excitement of those first scientists who saw the footage, who watched in awe as this legendary creature moved through the darkness with a grace that belied its size. The giant squid is a massive animal, with eyes as big as dinner plates and tentacles that can stretch over 30 feet long. Its body is sleek and muscular, designed to propel it through the water with minimal effort. Watching it swim is like watching a piece of the ocean come to life, a fluid motion that's both beautiful and unsettling. As the cameras rolled, scientists noticed something unexpected. the squid didn't seem to move like a predator on the hunt. It was almost as if it was more interested in the lights and cameras than in any potential prey. This raised a whole new set of questions. How does the giant squid hunt if it doesn't chase after its food like other predators? Does it lie in wait, lurking in the shadows until something swims by? Or does it use those massive eyes to spot its prey from a distance, striking out with lightning speed before the other creature even knows what's happening? There are some who believe that the giant squid is an ambush predator, hiding in the darkness until its prey comes close enough for it to strike. This theory makes sense when you consider the squid's enormous eyes, which are among the largest in the animal kingdom. These eyes are designed to see in the near-total darkness of the deep ocean, allowing the squid to spot even the faintest hint of movement. Once it has its prey in sight, it can use its long tentacles to snatch it up, pulling it in with a strength that's hard to imagine. But there's another theory that suggests the giant squid might be more of an opportunistic feeder, taking advantage of whatever food happens to come its way. This idea is based on the fact that giant squid have been found with all sorts of different animals in their stomachs, from small fish to other squid. It's possible that the giant squid isn't picky about what it eats, and will go after anything that seems like it might be a meal. This could explain why it didn't seem particularly interested in hunting when it was first caught on camera. It might not have been hungry at the time, or it might have been more curious about the strange lights and equipment than it was about finding food. But what about their social behavior? Do giant squids live alone, or do they have some kind of social structure? This is a question that's even harder to answer, mainly because these creatures are so rarely seen. Most of the time, they're thought to be solitary animals, living alone in the vast expanses of the deep ocean. This would make sense, given how spread out food sources can be at those depths. In such a vast, resource-scarce environment, it might be more advantageous for a creature to live alone, reducing competition for food. Still, there are hints that giant squids might interact with each other in ways we don't fully understand. For one thing, scientists have found marks on some giant squids that seem to have been made by the tentacles of other squids. This suggests that they might occasionally come into contact with one another, perhaps during mating or some other kind of social interaction. There's also the question of their reproductive behavior. How do they find mates in the darkness of the deep ocean? Do they have some sort of chemical signal they release to attract each other, or do they rely on other senses? The life cycle of the giant squid is another mystery. We know they hatch from tiny eggs and grow rapidly, but we don't know how long they live or what their full growth cycle looks like. Some scientists speculate that they might live for only a few years, growing quickly and dying young, while others believe they could live much longer. There's also the question of where they lay their eggs. Do they have specific breeding grounds, or do they lay their eggs wherever they happen to be? And once the eggs hatch, do the young squids stay near their birthplace, or do they drift away, carried by the ocean currents to wherever their life takes them? Every new piece of information we gather about the giant squid seems to raise more questions than it answers. But perhaps that's part of what makes these creatures so fascinating. They are, in a way, the embodiment of the unknown, a reminder that no matter how much we think we know about the world, there are always new mysteries waiting to be uncovered. There's something almost poetic about the idea of the giant squid, a creature that has lived in our imaginations for so long, only to remain just out of reach, even when we finally manage to capture it on film. It's as if the ocean is keeping some of its secrets to itself, offering us just a glimpse of what lies beneath the surface. And in a way, that's fitting. The giant squid is a creature of the deep, a being that belongs to a world that's as alien to us as any distant planet. It's a reminder that there are still places on Earth that we have yet to explore, still creatures that we have yet to understand. So, we keep searching, keep exploring, keep asking questions. We send our cameras and our submersibles into the depths, hoping to catch another glimpse of the giant squid, to learn more about how it lives and what it does. And maybe, one day, we'll get the answers we're looking for. But until then, the giant squid remains a mystery, a ghost of the deep that haunts our imaginations and reminds us of the vastness and wonder of the ocean. Deep below the ocean's surface, in a world where sunlight can never reach, there exists a strange and captivating phenomenon that defies our expectations and stirs our imaginations. deep-sea gigantism. Here, in the cold, dark waters of the abyss, creatures grow to sizes that seem almost impossible. Giant squids with tentacles that could encircle a bus, enormous isopods that look like prehistoric roly-polies on steroids, and other gigantic creatures that would appear monstrous in the bright, shallow waters above. To the untrained eye, these behemoths of the deep might seem like aberrations, the result of some bizarre twist of evolution. But to those who study them, they represent one of the most intriguing mysteries of marine biology. Why do these creatures grow so large? What is it about the depths of the ocean that encourages such massive sizes? To understand this, one must venture into the very heart of the abyss, a place where every breath, every movement, and every flicker of life is shaped by the unique conditions of the deep. It's easy to assume that the deep sea, with its crushing pressures and frigid temperatures, would be a hostile environment for large creatures. After all, the deeper you go, the less food there is and the harder it is to survive. But that's precisely where the story of deep-sea gigantism begins. Life in the deep sea is a constant balancing act, a delicate dance between scarcity and survival. In this environment, growing larger might just be the best strategy. Picture a giant squid gliding through the darkness, its long tentacles trailing behind like ribbons of silk. Out here, in the vast emptiness of the ocean, food is hard to come by. Prey can be few and far between, and finding a meal might take hours, days, or even weeks. For the giant squid, being large means being able to cover more ground, to move more efficiently through the water in search of its next meal. Its enormous eyes, the largest of any animal, give it an unparalleled ability to see in the dim light, spotting even the faintest glimmer of a potential prey item. In a world where every calorie counts, these advantages can make all the difference. Then there's the case of the giant isopod, a distant relative of the wood louse that has somehow managed to become one of the ocean's most formidable scavengers. It crawls along the seafloor, its segmented body protected by a tough exoskeleton, looking for any bits of food it can find. In the deep sea, food falls from above like manna from heaven, drifting down from the surface in a slow, steady rain of dead fish, plankton, and other organic material. For the giant isopod, being large means being able to survive longer between meals. With a slower metabolism than its smaller relatives, it can afford to wait, conserving energy until the next big meal comes along. But size isn't just about survival, it's also about competition. In the deep sea, where resources are limited, being the biggest can give you an edge over your rivals. Imagine a massive amphipod, a shrimp-like creature that can grow to several inches long. In the shallow waters above, its relatives are tiny, no bigger than a fingernail. But down here, in the deep, it has evolved to be much larger. This size gives it the strength and power to fend off other amphipods, to muscle its way to the best feeding spots, and to protect its territory from would-be intruders. Yet, deep-sea gigantism isn't just about survival and competition. There's something more, something almost poetic about these giants of the abyss. They are, in a way, the embodiment of the deep sea itself, a place of extremes, of contradictions, and of mysteries that we have yet to unravel. In the cold, dark waters of the deep, where pressure is measured in tons per square inch and the temperature hovers just above freezing, life takes on forms that are both wondrous and strange. Some scientists believe that deep-sea gigantism might be an adaptation to the unique pressures of the deep ocean. In the darkness, where light is a precious commodity and predators are often unseen, being large might offer a form of protection. A bigger body is harder to attack, harder to swallow, and harder to overcome. This idea is supported by the fact that many deep-sea giants have thick, tough exoskeletons or other protective features, as if nature itself is trying to build a fortress around them. But there's another theory, one that suggests deep-sea gigantism might be a result of the strange and slow passage of time in the deep. Down here, life moves at a different pace. The cold temperatures and high pressures slow down metabolic rates, causing creatures to grow more slowly and to live longer lives. A giant squid might take decades to reach its full size, slowly adding ring upon ring to its mantle like a tree growing in the depths of a forest. A giant isopod might spend years crawling along the seafloor, its body growing larger and larger as the years pass. In this world of slow growth and long lives, being big might be less of a burden and more of a benefit. With fewer predators and less competition, the pressure to grow quickly and reproduce early is reduced. Instead, these creatures can afford to take their time, to grow at their own pace, and to reach sizes that would be impossible in the shallow waters above. And yet, even with all these theories and explanations, deep-sea gigantism remains a mystery. It's one of those phenomena that defy easy answers, that challenge our understanding of the natural world. Every time we think we have it figured out, we discover something new, something that makes us question everything we thought we knew. Take, for example, the case of the colossal squid, a relative of the giant squid that was only recently discovered. It's even larger than its cousin, with a body that can reach up to 45 feet long and tentacles lined with sharp, rotating hooks. Unlike the giant squid, which is thought to be a fast, agile hunter, the colossal squid is believed to be a slow, deliberate predator, using its massive size and strength to overpower its prey. But why would it evolve to be so much larger than the giant squid? What advantage does its size give it in the dark, icy waters of the Antarctic? These are the kinds of questions that keep scientists up at night, that drive them to explore the deep sea with submersibles, remotely operated vehicles, and other cutting-edge technologies. They're the questions that remind us that, even in the 21st century, there are still places on this planet that are unexplored, still creatures that are unknown, and still mysteries that are unsolved. But perhaps that's part of the allure of deep-sea gigantism, part of what makes it so fascinating and so compelling. It's a reminder that the natural world is full of surprises, that life can take on forms that we can scarcely imagine, and that there are still wonders out there waiting to be discovered. As we continue to explore the deep sea, to venture into the abyss in search of new species and new answers, we are constantly reminded of the vastness and complexity of the ocean. It is a place where the rules of life are rewritten, where creatures grow to sizes that seem impossible, and where the line between reality and myth is often blurred. For now, the giants of the deep will remain a mystery, a tantalizing glimpse into a world that is as alien to us as any distant planet. They are a testament to the power of evolution, to the resilience of life, and to the enduring mystery of the ocean. And as long as they exist, we will continue to wonder, to explore, and to seek answers to the question of why, in the dark, cold waters of the deep, creatures grow so very, very large. Imagine for a moment the vast, dark expanse of the deep ocean, an alien world right here on Earth, where light barely penetrates and pressure builds to crushing extremes. In this eerie silence, the ocean is a world of shadows and whispers, of things seen and unseen, known and unknown. For centuries, humans have gazed out across the water's surface, wondering what mysteries lie beneath. And as we venture deeper into this abyss, equipped with technology that can peer into its depths, we've discovered that the ocean is not as silent as we once thought. In 1997, a strange sound was recorded in the remote waters of the South Pacific. It was loud, deep, and powerful. So powerful, in fact, that it was picked up by multiple sensors located over 3,000 miles apart. Scientists who analyzed the recordings were puzzled. It didn't match any known sounds made by man-made machinery, earthquakes, or marine animals. It was quite simply something new. The sound was dubbed the bloop, and it quickly became one of the most famous mysteries of the ocean. The bloop wasn't a single event. It repeated itself several times over the course of the summer. But then, just as mysteriously as it had arrived, it disappeared. Scientists were left scratching their heads, wondering what could have made such a noise. Some speculated that it might be the sound of a massive iceberg breaking apart or scraping along the ocean floor. Others suggested it could be the result of underwater volcanic activity. But there were those who dared to dream a little bigger, who imagined the bloop might be the sound of something alive, something enormous and unknown. The ocean, after all, is a place of mystery. Even today, we have explored only a small fraction of its depths. It's a place where creatures of unimaginable size and shape can hide, where life can exist in forms that we've never seen before. The idea that there might be something down there, something big enough to create a sound that could be heard across an ocean basin, is both terrifying and thrilling. And the bloop is not the only mysterious sound to come from the deep. There's also the upsweep, a long, ascending sound that has been detected every spring and fall since the early 1990s. Like the bloop, the source of the upsweep is unknown. It's a continuous sound that can last for up to several minutes, and its origin seems to be somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. Some scientists believe it could be related to volcanic activity or some kind of geological movement. But again, the ocean keeps its secrets well, and we are left to wonder what might be out there, making such strange noises in the deep. There are other sounds too, sounds with names like the whistle, the train, and the Julia. Each has its own distinct characteristics, its own rhythm and pattern, and each adds another layer to the mystery of the deep ocean. The whistle, for example, is a high-pitched, wavering sound that has been heard sporadically over the years. The train is a low-frequency sound that resembles the distant rumble of a passing train, while the Julia is a haunting, moaning noise that seems to echo through the water, like the wail of a ghost. What makes these sounds so intriguing is not just that they're mysterious, but that they challenge our understanding of the world. We like to think that we have a pretty good grasp on how the Earth works, that we know what kinds of sounds are made by different kinds of phenomena. But these noises, these strange, unexplainable sounds, suggest that there is still so much we don't know, so much that we haven't discovered. Consider for a moment the possibility that some of these sounds might be biological in origin. The ocean is home to some of the largest creatures on the planet, like the blue whale, whose song can travel thousands of miles underwater. But what if there are other creatures down there, creatures that are even bigger than the blue whale, creatures that we've never seen because they live in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean? It's a tantalizing thought, one that captures the imagination and sends shivers down the spine. Imagine a creature so large that its movements create sounds powerful enough to be heard across an ocean basin. Perhaps it's an enormous squid, its body gliding silently through the darkness, its tentacles trailing behind like the tendrils of a ghost. Or maybe it's something even stranger, something we can't even begin to imagine. A creature with a shape and size that defies all our expectations, that challenges everything we thought we knew about life on Earth. And yet, as thrilling as these possibilities are, we must also consider the more mundane explanations. The ocean is a dynamic place, filled with geological activity that can produce all sorts of noises. Underwater volcanoes, for example, can create sounds that travel for hundreds of miles, and the shifting of tectonic plates can produce low-frequency rumblings that sound like the moans of a giant creature. Icebergs, too, can create strange sounds as they crack and collide in the frigid waters of the polar regions. But even these explanations raise more questions than they answer. If the bloop and the upsweep are the sounds of geological processes, why do they sound so different from other known underwater noises? And why do they seem to come from areas where we haven't detected any volcanic or tectonic activity? These are questions that scientists are still trying to answer, using every tool at their disposal. From hydrophones that can detect the faintest sounds in the ocean, to submersibles that can dive to incredible depths in search of clues. In the end, perhaps the most fascinating thing about these mysterious sounds is that they remind us of how little we truly know about the ocean. Despite all our advances in technology, despite all the ships and submarines and satellites we've sent into its depths, the ocean remains a place of mystery and wonder. It is a place where the unknown is still possible, where the boundaries of our knowledge are constantly being pushed and challenged. And that in itself is a beautiful thing. It's a reminder that no matter how much we learn, there will always be more to discover. There will always be new mysteries to solve, new sounds to hear, new creatures to find. The ocean is a place of endless exploration, a place where science and imagination meet, where the line between reality and fiction is blurred, and where anything is possible. So, the next time you find yourself near the ocean, take a moment to listen. You might not hear the bloop or the upsweep, but you will hear the sound of the waves, the call of the gulls, the distant hum of the water. And in those sounds, you will hear the echoes of a world that is still waiting to be discovered, a world that is as vast and mysterious as the ocean itself. In the black depths of the ocean, far below where sunlight dares to venture, lies a world that defies our conventional understanding of life. This world is built around hydrothermal vents, fissures in the Earth's crust where the planet's inner heat escapes into the cold abyss. It's a place of violent extremes, where scalding water rich with minerals gushes out from the Earth, mixing with the frigid sea. Here, amid the churning waters and utter darkness, life thrives in a way that feels almost alien. Imagine descending into the ocean's depths, your surroundings gradually growing darker until you are enveloped in a pitch-black void. The temperature drops to near freezing, the pressure mounts to crushing levels, and the water around you becomes an oppressive, heavy cloak. You might think life could not possibly survive here. Yet, as you approach a hydrothermal vent, you witness a transformation. The water shimmers with heat, and the seafloor is teeming with life. Massive colonies of tube worms, some as tall as a human, sway gently in the currents, their bright red plumes catching nutrients from the water. Giant clams, their shells gaping open, nestle among the rocks, while strange crabs and shrimp scuttle across the vent chimneys, which rise like underwater smokestacks. This is no ordinary ecosystem. Here, there is no sunlight to fuel the growth of plants or algae. Instead, life has adapted to a different kind of energy source, chemosynthesis. At the heart of this process are the bacteria that live within the bodies of tube worms and other organisms. These bacteria convert the toxic chemicals spewing from the vents, such as hydrogen sulfide, into usable energy. It's a relationship that has been perfected over eons, a delicate balance where both the host and the bacteria rely on each other for survival. The existence of such ecosystems challenges our very definitions of life and raises profound questions. Could life on other planets or moons, perhaps in the icy oceans beneath Europa's surface, be similar? If life can thrive in the dark, toxic, and high-pressure environment of Earth's deep ocean, then maybe the conditions we consider essential for life are not as universal as we once thought. The discovery of hydrothermal vents in the late 1970s was a revelation. Until then, scientists believed that all life on Earth depended on the sun. The idea that an entire ecosystem could survive on chemical energy instead was nothing short of revolutionary. As researchers began to explore these vents more thoroughly, they encountered creatures that seemed plucked from the pages of science fiction. Eyeless shrimp with light-sensing patches on their backs, perhaps attuned to the faint glow of vent luminescence. Fish with translucent bodies that glide silently through the water, and vast colonies of microorganisms, invisible to the naked eye, but forming the bedrock of this bizarre food chain. One of the most astonishing aspects of these ecosystems is their resilience. Hydrothermal vents are not permanent fixtures. They can appear and disappear within a few decades. Yet the creatures that depend on them have evolved to be nomadic, moving from one vent to another as needed. How do they find new vents in the vast expanse of the deep sea? Some researchers theorize that they may follow chemical cues carried by deep ocean currents. Others suggest that the organisms may somehow sense the magnetic fields generated by the vents, or even use sound waves to navigate the abyss. Whatever the method, it is clear that these creatures are finely attuned to their harsh environment in ways we are only beginning to understand. The study of hydrothermal vent ecosystems is still in its infancy, and every expedition brings new surprises. Scientists have found evidence of vents in previously unexplored regions, each with its own unique community of organisms. The diversity of life around these vents is staggering, and the adaptations these creatures have developed are as varied as they are remarkable. For example, the Pompeii worm, a creature named after the doomed city due to its ability to withstand extreme heat, can survive temperatures that would boil most other animals alive. Its back is covered in a fleece-like layer of bacteria that may help protect it from the heat, or perhaps these bacteria perform some other as yet unknown function. The worm lives in tubes attached to the vent chimneys, where the water temperature can range from boiling hot at one end to near freezing at the other. Somehow, it manages to thrive in this thermal no man's land. Then there are the vent octopuses, ghostly white and seemingly delicate, yet perfectly suited to the deep sea environment. They have been observed guarding their eggs near the vents, where the warm waters accelerate the development of their offspring. But what happens when a vent goes cold or a new one erupts nearby? Do these creatures possess some migratory instinct, an inherited map of the ocean's underworld? Or do they simply wander in the dark until they stumble upon a new vent? These are the kinds of questions that keep marine biologists awake at night, pondering the deep ocean secrets. The existence of life around hydrothermal vents also has implications for our understanding of Earth's history. Some scientists speculate that life on Earth may have originated in environments like these. The early Earth was a turbulent place, with volcanic activity, intense radiation, and a lack of oxygen. Shallow pools or deep-sea vents rich in minerals and chemicals might have provided the perfect conditions for the first life forms to emerge. If this is true, then the ecosystems we see today around hydrothermal vents could be living fossils, remnants of the world's earliest life forms, surviving in the same harsh conditions that once nurtured the dawn of life on our planet. There are also more speculative theories. Could these vents be connected by some vast underground network, a kind of oceanic superhighway used by microorganisms to travel from one vent system to another? Some researchers are exploring the possibility that deep within the Earth's crust, there exists a deep biosphere, a hidden ecosystem that is far more extensive than the one we know on the surface. If such a biosphere exists, it would be a world where life thrives in total isolation from the sun, existing solely on the energy provided by the Earth itself. The vents also pose questions about the future. As we continue to explore the deep ocean, how will human activity affect these delicate ecosystems? The deep sea is already being eyed by companies looking to mine minerals from the ocean floor, including areas around hydrothermal vents. What impact will this have on the unique creatures that call these vents home? The deep sea is a frontier that we are only just beginning to explore, but it is also one that we must be careful not to destroy before we fully understand it. For now, the world around hydrothermal vents remains one of the most mysterious and intriguing environments on Earth. It's a place where life has found a way to flourish in the most unlikely of conditions, where the boundaries of biology are constantly being redefined. As our exploration of the deep ocean continues, we will undoubtedly uncover more of its secrets, but the questions it raises about life, both on Earth and potentially elsewhere in the universe, will continue to inspire wonder and awe. Imagine a world where the sun never shines, where temperatures hover just above freezing, and the pressure is so intense that it would crush a human being in an instant. This is the deep sea, a realm of perpetual darkness and bone-chilling cold, where life exists against all odds. For most of us, it's hard to even fathom what it would be like to live in such a place. Yet, for the creatures that call the deep sea home, these extreme conditions are not only survivable, but also normal. They have evolved in ways that defy our understanding, developing adaptations that allow them to thrive where most known life forms would perish. The journey to understanding these adaptations starts with the basic necessities of life: food, warmth, and light. In the deep sea, all three are in critically short supply. The sun's rays can only penetrate so far into the ocean, and below about 200 meters, there is no sunlight at all. Beyond this point, the ocean is a pitch-black void, a place where light does not exist. In this darkness, finding food becomes a monumental challenge. For many deep-sea creatures, meals are few and far between, and starvation is a constant threat. Yet, somehow, they manage to find sustenance. One of the most remarkable adaptations of deep-sea creatures is their ability to survive long periods without food. Take, for instance, the giant isopod, a large crustacean that can go for years without eating. When food does become available, usually in the form of a dead fish or whale carcass that sinks to the ocean floor, these creatures gorge themselves, storing fat and energy to sustain them during the long stretches of hunger that follow. This feast or famine existence is a stark contrast to life on land, where food is often plentiful and easily accessible. But it's not just their ability to go without food that makes deep-sea creatures so fascinating. It's also their ability to survive in the extreme cold. At the depths where these animals live, temperatures are often just a few degrees above freezing. For most animals, such cold would be debilitating, if not fatal. Yet, deep-sea creatures have evolved ways to cope with these frigid conditions. Many have special proteins in their bodies that act like antifreeze, preventing their blood and other fluids from freezing solid. Others have slow metabolisms that allow them to conserve energy and generate just enough warmth to survive. Even more astounding is the way these creatures endure the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. At depths of 1,000 meters or more, the pressure is over 100 times greater than at the surface. At these depths, the weight of the water above exerts a force so great that it would instantly flatten most land animals. Yet, deep-sea creatures have adapted to this intense pressure in ways that we are only beginning to understand. Some have flexible, gelatinous bodies that can withstand the compression without breaking. Others have special cellular structures that prevent their cells from collapsing under the weight. The adaptations of deep-sea creatures are not just physical, they're also behavioral. In a world without light, many deep-sea animals have evolved to be highly sensitive to changes in their environment. Some, like certain species of fish and squid, have developed enormous eyes that can detect even the faintest glimmers of light. Others, like the anglerfish, use bioluminescence to attract prey or mates. By producing their own light, they can create a small pool of illumination in the otherwise total darkness, revealing themselves to others or luring unsuspecting prey into their jaws. Still, other deep-sea creatures rely on chemical signals to communicate and navigate in the dark. They release pheromones or other chemicals into the water, which are detected by others of their species, guiding them towards food, mates, or away from danger. This chemical communication is a crucial adaptation for survival in a place where vision is often of limited use. Yet, despite all these incredible adaptations, there is still so much we don't understand about how these creatures survive in such extreme conditions. For example, some deep-sea animals, like certain species of fish and invertebrates, have evolved to have fewer bones or no bones at all, likely as a way to avoid being crushed by the pressure. But this raises more questions than it answers. How do these animals maintain their structure and move without bones? How do they protect their vital organs from damage? Similarly, scientists are still trying to understand how deep-sea creatures manage to survive on such limited energy. In the deep sea, where food is scarce, it would seem logical that animals would need to conserve as much energy as possible. Yet, some deep-sea animals are surprisingly active, constantly moving in search of food or mates. How do they generate the energy needed for this activity? And how do they avoid expending more energy than they take in? One possible answer lies in the way these animals process food. Many deep-sea creatures have highly efficient digestive systems that allow them to extract every last bit of energy from the food they consume. Some, like the deep-sea anglerfish, can consume prey that is up to twice their size, allowing them to maximize their intake whenever food is available. Others have adapted to feed on the microscopic organisms that drift through the water, taking advantage of a food source that is often overlooked by larger predators. But there's also a more speculative and perhaps more intriguing possibility that some deep-sea creatures have evolved ways to tap into energy sources that we don't yet understand. For example, some scientists believe that certain deep-sea bacteria and archaea may be capable of using chemical energy from the Earth itself, converting the heat and minerals released by underwater volcanic activity into food. If this is true, it would mean that life in the deep sea is not just surviving, but thriving in a way that is completely independent of the sun, a concept that challenges our very understanding of what it means to be alive. It's also possible that deep-sea creatures have developed symbiotic relationships with these bacteria and archaea, hosting them inside their bodies or on their surfaces in exchange for a share of the energy they produce. Such relationships would allow these animals to live off a steady supply of food without ever having to hunt or forage, a truly remarkable adaptation in an environment where food is so scarce. And then there's the question of reproduction. In the deep sea, where individuals of the same species may be few and far between. Finding a mate can be a daunting task. Yet, deep-sea creatures have evolved a variety of strategies to ensure their survival. Some, like the deep-sea anglerfish, engage in a form of sexual parasitism, where the much smaller male fuses with the female, living off her blood supply and providing sperm whenever she is ready to reproduce. Others release vast numbers of eggs or sperm into the water, hoping that some will find their way to a mate. Still, others are hermaphroditic, capable of producing both eggs and sperm, allowing them to reproduce even if they never encounter another member of their species. These adaptations are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to understanding how life can survive in the deep sea. For every question we answer, a dozen more arise, each one more puzzling than the last. But that's what makes the deep sea so fascinating. It's a place where the rules of life as we know them are turned upside down, where creatures that seem like they should be impossible somehow exist. In the end, perhaps the most remarkable thing about deep-sea creatures is not just their ability to survive in such extreme conditions, but their ability to thrive. They have adapted to a world that is as hostile and unforgiving as any on Earth, developing strategies and behaviors that allow them to live, grow, and reproduce in a place where most life forms would be crushed, frozen, or starved. And as we continue to explore the deep sea, to send our submarines and drones down into the abyss in search of answers, we are constantly reminded of how little we truly know about this mysterious world. For every creature we discover, there are countless more waiting to be found, each one with its own unique story of survival in the deep. The deep sea is a place of wonder and mystery, a place where life can exist in forms that are as strange and beautiful as they are resilient and strong. It is a testament to the power of evolution, to the ability of life to adapt and thrive in even the most extreme environments. And as long as there are questions left to answer, as long as there are mysteries left to solve, the deep sea will continue to captivate and inspire us, reminding us of the endless possibilities of life on Earth. In the silent, endless night of the deep ocean, time moves differently. Down there, where the pressure could crush steel and the cold bites with an ancient ferocity, life adopts a rhythm that seems almost timeless. It's a place where creatures, hidden from the eyes of humanity, live out their days in slow motion, their lifespans stretching across centuries. These are beings for whom the concept of time, as we understand it, holds little meaning. Picture yourself drifting through this world, far below the sunlit surface. The water is cold, almost still, and the darkness is absolute, broken only by the occasional flicker of bioluminescent light from some unseen organism. As you move through this abyss, you come across creatures whose very existence challenges our perceptions of life. Here, the idea of age takes on a new significance. In the deep sea, to live long is to live slowly, and these creatures have mastered the art of patience in a way that is almost unimaginable to us. One of the most mysterious inhabitants of these depths is the Greenland shark, a massive, sluggish predator that can live for centuries. Scientists estimate that some of these sharks could be over 500 years old, meaning they were alive when explorers like Christopher Columbus were just beginning to map the New World. Imagine that, swimming through the dark waters for half a millennium, each year passing like the slow beat of a drum. What do these sharks remember? What do they forget? Their long lives stretch across centuries of human history, but they remain oblivious to the events that shape the surface world. Their existence a testament to the enduring, silent pulse of life in the ocean's depths. But it's not just the Greenland shark that defies our understanding of aging. Deep-sea corals, some of which can live for thousands of years, grow slowly on the ocean floor, their branches reaching out like the fingers of time itself. These corals build their skeletons one layer at a time, recording the history of the ocean in their very structure. Each year adds a new layer, a new chapter in the story of their existence, so that by the time they have reached maturity, they have already witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. In their branches, the deep sea holds the secrets of eons, captured in the slow, methodical growth of these ancient beings. And then there are the enigmatic tube worms that live near hydrothermal vents. These creatures, anchored to the seafloor, grow in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Here, life moves at a pace dictated by the flow of chemicals from the Earth's core, and these tube worms have adapted to live for decades, or even centuries, in the same spot. Their lives are measured not by the passing of seasons or the rise and fall of the sun, but by the shifting of tectonic plates and the ebb and flow of the Earth's energy. The slow pace of life in the deep sea is a necessity, a response to the scarcity of food and the harshness of the environment. With so little energy available, these creatures must conserve as much as possible, leading to slower growth rates and longer lifespans. This evolutionary strategy has allowed them to survive in a world where life clings to the barest edges of existence. But what does it mean to live so long? What experiences do these creatures accumulate over the course of their lifetimes? Do they remember the changes in their environment, the shifts in the ocean currents, or the appearance of new species? Or do they live in a state of perpetual now, each moment indistinguishable from the last in the endless darkness? The reproductive strategies of these deep-sea creatures are as mysterious as their lifespans. In the dark, cold depths, where mates can be scarce and the energy to reproduce is limited, these creatures have developed methods of reproduction that are as unique as the environment they inhabit. Some species, like certain deep-sea fish, practice what could be called a slow burn approach to reproduction. They may carry their eggs or young for years, ensuring that when the time comes, their offspring are given the best possible chance of survival in a world where the odds are stacked against them. But how do these creatures know when it's time to reproduce? In a place where the seasons do not change and the days do not pass, what cues do they use? Some scientists speculate that these creatures might be attuned to the subtle shifts in the ocean's chemistry or temperature, changes that are imperceptible to us but could signal the right moment for reproduction. Others believe that deep-sea creatures might have evolved an internal clock, one that ticks away the years and decades, guiding them through their long lives. There's also the question of what happens to these creatures as they age. Do they experience a slow decline, as we do? Or do they reach a certain point and simply stop aging? The Greenland shark, for example, shows little signs of aging even at advanced ages, leading some researchers to speculate that it might have a form of biological immortality, at least in the sense that it does not age in the way we understand. This opens up a tantalizing possibility that in the deep sea, there might be creatures that could, theoretically, live forever, provided they avoid disease and predation. Yet, despite their incredible longevity, these creatures are not invulnerable. The deep sea is a dynamic environment, and even the longest-lived organisms must contend with the forces of nature. Hydrothermal vents, for example, are not permanent structures. They can die out or move, forcing the creatures that live around them to relocate or perish. For corals, a change in the ocean's acidity could spell the end of their slow, centuries-long growth. And even the mighty Greenland shark is not immune to the threats posed by human activity, as pollution and climate change begin to reach even the most remote parts of the ocean. In some ways, the deep-sea creatures that live for centuries are like the living embodiment of time itself. They move through the water like ancient spirits, untouched by the rush and urgency that characterizes life on the surface. Their slow, deliberate movements, their long lives, and their mysterious reproductive habits all speak to a different kind of existence, one that is governed by the deep ocean's unhurried rhythms. The study of longevity and life cycles in the deep sea is still in its infancy, and there is much that we do not yet understand. Each new discovery raises more questions than it answers. How do these creatures perceive time? Do they have memories that stretch back decades, even centuries? What does it mean to live so long in such a dark, isolated place? These are the questions that scientists are beginning to explore, and the answers, when they come, may change our understanding of life on Earth in ways we cannot yet imagine. For now, the deep sea remains a place of mystery and wonder, a world where time moves slowly and life endures in ways that seem almost supernatural. It is a reminder that life, in all its forms, is capable of astonishing feats of survival, and that even in the most inhospitable environments, it finds a way to persist quietly, patiently, and for far longer than we might ever have thought possible. The abyssal zone. Just the name itself conjures images of a deep, uncharted world far removed from the sunlit surface, a place where few have ventured and even fewer have understood. It's a realm that exists 4,000 to 6,000 meters below the ocean's surface, a place so alien to us that it's often compared to outer space. It's a fitting comparison, like the vast reaches of the cosmos. The abyssal zone is an environment almost entirely inhospitable to human life, a dark void stretching across the ocean floor where life, if it exists, has to fight for every moment of its survival. Imagine sinking down into this darkness. Above, the light fades rapidly, slipping away as if the ocean itself is swallowing it whole. The water grows colder, and the pressure begins to build, crushing it on all sides. By the time you reach the abyssal zone, the sun's rays are a distant memory, and the water is near freezing. Down here, the pressure is so intense that it would crush a human body in an instant, the weight of millions of tons of water pressing down relentlessly. This is a place of shadows and silence, where the vastness of the ocean is matched only by the profound sense of isolation. Yet, despite these seemingly insurmountable challenges, life does exist in the abyssal zone. It's a world that is still largely speculative and shrouded in mystery, but every so often, a glimpse of its inhabitants is caught, and the results are nothing short of astonishing. We know that many of the creatures living here are unlike anything we've ever seen, adapted to conditions that would be lethal to most other forms of life. They are resilient, strange, and somehow beautiful in their ability to survive where life should not be possible. Consider the abyssal fish, strange and ghostly beings that seem to glide through the water with an eerie grace. These fish often have adaptations that make them look like something out of a nightmare. Their bodies are elongated and eel-like, allowing them to navigate the rocky, uneven terrain of the ocean floor. They have eyes that are adapted to see in near total darkness, or in some cases, no eyes at all. Some species are transparent, with skin so thin you can see their internal organs, a strange adaptation that might help them evade predators or conserve energy in a place where every calorie counts. But the fish are just the beginning. The abyssal zone is home to an array of otherworldly creatures, each more bizarre than the last. There are giant, spindly crabs that crawl across the ocean floor like something out of a science fiction movie, their long legs adapted to navigating the soft, silty bottom. There are strange, glowing jellyfish that pulse with an otherworldly light, drifting through the water like specters in the dark. And then there are the tube worms, anchored to hydrothermal vents, living off the heat and chemicals that seep from the Earth's crust. These worms have no eyes, no mouth, and no stomach, relying instead on symbiotic bacteria to provide them with nutrients. These creatures have adapted to the abyssal zone in ways that seem almost unimaginable. Their bodies are designed to withstand the crushing pressures and freezing temperatures, and they have evolved to find food in an environment where resources are scarce. Many of them have developed slow metabolisms that allow them to survive on very little, eking out an existence in a world where every meal is a rare and precious event. Some species, like the abyssal giant squid, have grown to enormous sizes, a phenomenon known as deep-sea gigantism. These creatures, with their massive, undulating tentacles and huge, unblinking eyes, are among the most enigmatic of all deep-sea life forms. We've only recently begun to capture glimpses of them in their natural habitats, and each new sighting brings more questions than answers. In this deep, dark world, the boundaries of what we know and what we imagine blur together. It's a place where science meets speculation, where facts are often stranger than fiction. For every creature we discover, there are countless others that remain hidden, their existence known only through faint traces or tantalizing glimpses. It's possible, even likely, that there are species down here that we haven't even begun to dream of, creatures that defy our understanding of biology and evolution. Imagine a creature that lives by converting the minerals and chemicals that seep from the ocean floor into energy, a being that could exist entirely without the sun. Or picture a predator that uses the ocean's pressure to its advantage, crushing its prey in its jaws with the force of 1,000 tons of water. These are the kinds of creatures that might exist in the abyssal zone, beings that challenge our very notions of life and survival. But beyond the biology, there's something else about the abyssal zone that captures the imagination: its sheer vastness. The abyssal plain, as it's often called, covers more than 50% of the Earth's surface. It's a landscape that stretches for thousands of miles in every direction, broken only by the occasional underwater mountain or trench. It's a place of deep, cold silence, a world that exists on a scale that is almost impossible to comprehend. And within this vastness, there are entire ecosystems that we know nothing about, communities of life that thrive in places we've never seen. Every so often, an expedition will venture into these depths, sending remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, and submersibles down into the abyss in search of answers. These missions are incredibly challenging, requiring technology that can withstand the pressures and temperatures of the deep sea. And even when they succeed, the information they gather is often fragmentary, offering only the briefest glimpse into a world that is still largely unknown. Yet, despite the difficulties, we continue to explore, driven by the curiosity and wonder that the abyssal zone inspires. We want to know what lies beneath the surface, to understand how life can exist in such an extreme environment. We want to find the creatures that live here, to study their adaptations, and learn what they can teach us about biology, evolution, and the limits of life on Earth. And maybe, just maybe, we want to find out what it would be like to live in a place so different from anything we've ever known. To imagine what it would be like to swim through the darkness, to feel the cold water pressing in from all sides, to see the world through the eyes of a creature that has never known light. It's a thought that is both terrifying and thrilling, a reminder of how much we still have to learn about the planet we call home. The abyssal zone is a place that challenges our understanding of the world, a place where the rules of life, as we know them, are turned upside down. It's a reminder that there are still places on Earth that are unexplored, still mysteries that are waiting to be solved. It's a place where science and imagination meet, where the unknown is still possible, and where every discovery is a step into the unknown. And as long as there are questions left to answer, as long as there are mysteries left to solve, the abyssal zone will continue to captivate and inspire us, reminding us of the endless possibilities of life on Earth. In the vast, shadowy depths of the ocean, where light barely penetrates and pressure mounts to crushing levels, the deep sea hums with a quiet power that shapes the very fabric of our planet. It's a realm so distant from our everyday lives that it often feels like an alien world, yet its influence on the global ecosystem is profound and far-reaching. The deep sea is a hidden engine, driving processes that sustain life on Earth, regulate our climate, and maintain the balance of the planet's resources. But like the currents that swirl through its dark waters, the true extent of its role remains largely hidden from our view. Imagine the ocean as the Earth's lungs, a vast, breathing entity that absorbs and exhales carbon dioxide, one of the most critical components in the regulation of our climate. Much of this exchange happens in the deep sea, where cold, dense water sinks and flows along the ocean floor, carrying with it carbon that has been absorbed from the atmosphere. This carbon is stored in the deep ocean for centuries, effectively removing it from the climate system and preventing it from contributing to global warming. This process, known as the biological pump, is a crucial mechanism in the regulation of our climate, yet it's one that occurs far beyond our sight, in the cold, dark waters of the deep. As you descend into the depths, past the sunlit layers where most marine life is concentrated, you enter a world dominated by this unseen process. The water grows colder, the light fades, and the surface world becomes a distant memory. Here, in this twilight zone, tiny organisms called phytoplankton, which float near the surface, play a vital role. These microscopic plants absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, and when they die or are eaten, their remains drift downward, like a gentle rain of organic matter, into the deep ocean. This rain of detritus is consumed by other organisms or becomes part of the deep sea sediment, effectively trapping carbon in a form that can remain out of circulation for thousands of years. But the deep sea is more than just a carbon sink. It's a place where life and death are intimately connected, where the remains of surface creatures feed a hidden world of scavengers and decomposers. The organic matter that falls from above doesn't just disappear. It fuels entire ecosystems that thrive in the cold and darkness. The deep sea is home to a multitude of species that have adapted to live on the margins, subsisting on the remnants of life from above. These creatures, from the smallest bacteria to the largest predators, play a critical role in breaking down organic material, ensuring that nothing goes to waste in this vast, efficient system. Yet, despite its remoteness, the deep sea is intimately connected to the surface world. The currents that flow through the deep ocean are part of a global conveyor belt, a system that moves water, heat, and nutrients around the planet. This circulation helps regulate the Earth's climate by distributing heat from the equator to the poles and ensuring that nutrients, which are vital for marine life, are recycled and made available to the organisms that live near the surface. The deep sea is, in a sense, the Earth's heart, pumping life-sustaining elements around the planet and maintaining the delicate balance that makes life possible. As you explore this hidden world, you begin to realize that the deep sea is not just a passive reservoir, but an active participant in the planet's systems. It's a place where the boundaries between life and the environment blur, where the organisms that live here are both shaped by and shape the world around them. Deep sea creatures have evolved to thrive in this harsh environment, and in doing so, they play a role in maintaining the health of the entire planet. They help recycle nutrients, break down organic material, and even influence the chemistry of the ocean itself. One of the most fascinating aspects of the deep sea's role in the global ecosystem is its involvement in carbon sequestration. The deep sea acts as a massive carbon storehouse, holding more carbon than all the plants and animals on land combined. This carbon is locked away in the form of dissolved inorganic carbon, which can remain in the deep ocean for thousands of years. But how this carbon is cycled back into the atmosphere, or how much of it might be released as ocean temperatures rise, is still a mystery. Some scientists believe that the deep sea could play a crucial role in mitigating the effects of climate change by continuing to absorb and store excess carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Others warn that if the deep ocean's carbon storage capacity is disrupted, it could release vast amounts of carbon back into the atmosphere, exacerbating global warming. The deep sea also plays a critical role in the global nitrogen cycle, which is essential for the growth of all living things. In the depths of the ocean, bacteria perform a process called denitrification, which converts nitrates in the water into nitrogen gas. This process helps regulate the amount of nitrogen available for marine life and prevents the buildup of harmful substances in the ocean. However, like the carbon cycle, the full extent of the deep sea's role in the nitrogen cycle is still not fully understood. There are entire ecosystems in the deep ocean that may be playing a part in processes we have yet to discover, hidden in the darkness, beyond the reach of our current technology. Despite the deep sea's critical role in the global ecosystem, it remains one of the least explored and understood parts of our planet. The challenges of studying this remote environment are immense. The crushing pressure, the darkness, and the vastness of the ocean make it difficult to gather data. Yet, with each new expedition, we uncover more about the deep sea's complex and interconnected systems. We learn that what happens in the deep ocean does not stay there. It ripples out, influencing everything from the fish we eat to the air we breathe. The deep sea is also a place where human activity is beginning to make its mark. As technology advances, we are increasingly able to exploit the resources of the deep ocean, from mining the minerals on the ocean floor to fishing in previously inaccessible areas. But these activities come with risks. The deep sea is a fragile environment, one that has evolved over millions of years in isolation from the surface. Disturbing this balance could have unforeseen consequences, not just for the creatures that live there, but for the entire planet. The deep ocean plays a crucial role in regulating the Earth's climate and supporting life, and disrupting its delicate ecosystems could have a domino effect, altering the global processes that keep our planet in balance. As you emerge from the deep, you might carry with you a new appreciation for this hidden world and its importance to our planet. The deep sea is a place of paradoxes, so far from the sun, yet so essential to life on Earth, so remote, yet so intimately connected to our daily lives. It is a reminder that the Earth systems are interconnected in ways we are only beginning to understand, and that even the most distant corners of our planet play a vital role in the health of the whole. The deep sea, with its quiet power and mysterious depths, is a crucial part of the global ecosystem, a force of nature that we ignore at our peril. As we journey together into the depths of the ocean, exploring the mysteries and marvels of the deep sea, we're reminded of how much there is still to learn about our planet. The deep ocean is a place of wonder and intrigue, a world where the unknown outnumbers the known, and where every discovery opens the door to more questions. These creatures, so far removed from our everyday experience, remind us of the vastness and complexity of life on Earth. They invite us to look deeper, to seek out the hidden stories of our world, and to appreciate the delicate balance that sustains life in even the most extreme environments. In a time when the world feels so thoroughly explored, the deep sea remains a final frontier, a reminder that nature still holds countless secrets waiting to be uncovered. It's a place where imagination meets reality, where the strange and the beautiful coexist, and where every dive is an opportunity to witness something truly extraordinary. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the quiet universe. If you enjoyed this exploration, please like and subscribe to the channel so we can continue to dive deeper into the wonders of our world together. Your support means the world, and it helps bring more of these incredible stories to light. Until next time, keep exploring the unknown